Hello and welcome to another SolarWinds video tutorial. In this tutorial we'll look at migrating an NPM database. You may find the need to move or migrate your database when you are upgrading the database hardware, separating the database from a machine running Orion, or moving from an Orion evaluation database to a production database. We'll take a look at how to create a local backup of the Orion database, how to create a remote backup for database migration, and the tools used for backing up and migrating databases. So what we'll do now is I'll demonstrate a couple of methods of migrating a SQL Server database for Orion. The situation right now is I have this server, I'll call the Orion server, that has Orion on it and the SQL database running on the same machine. This is not a recommended practice, but considering I was evaluating the software that way and now it's going to go to production, I'll want to change this for going into production. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and open up SQL Management Express, and I'll take a look at the local database. So there's my local machine. It pops up. If you don't see yours, you may have to expand this and open it up. And I'll just go ahead and connect to that. Okay, here's my databases. And I see the SolarWinds Orion database on the bottom. I can expand that, see all the tables, and that's the database. Now what I want to do is take this database and back it up. Well, that's pretty simple to do. Click on the database, right-click, go down to Tasks, and then we'll do a backup. So here's the backup dialog. A couple things we want to make sure are correct here. We want to do a full backup, not an incremental backup. We want to make sure we're going to back up to is the backup folder for SQL. Now we'll go into the Options tab. What I want to do is I'm going to overwrite any existing backups. Okay, that backup was successful. I'll click OK. Now what I'll do is go into the directory and look for that backup file. So I'll go into my computer, the C drive, Program Files, Microsoft SQL Server, my first instance here, and then SQL, and we'll take a look at the backup directory. So sure enough, there's the backup file we just made. So now what I want to do is take that backup and take it over to the new SQL Server from this Orion server and paste it over there. And this is where using remote desktop comes in very handy because I can just copy it directly over to the other machine. And what I'll do is put this in the backup directory for this SQL Server. So here's the backup directory. Nothing in there. I'm going to paste this one in. Okay, I've now successfully pasted it into the backup directory in SQL. What I need to do now is go into SQL Management on the SQL Server here and restore that. So here is the SQL Server. I'm going to go in through Windows Authentication. I'll connect to it. Here's my databases. So you can see there is no Orion database yet. So I'll click on Database, right-click, and then click on Restore Database. First place you want to start is from. So you want to tell it you want to back up from a device. We're not going to back up from a database. And then click over here on these three dots to say where you want that. So what I'll do is I'll add that file. And here it is. Click OK. I want to click Restore. Point in time is the most recent. Now I have to tell it where I want to restore to. So under Database here, the To database, I'll expand that. And there's SolarWinds Orion. Of course, we're going to use that. So now what we've done is we've taken the database off of the Orion server using a backup, moved that back up to the new SQL server, but problem with Orion right now is it doesn't know where the database is. So we'll need to go back over to the Orion server, and we got to run Configuration Wizard and tell it where the database is. So here on the Orion server once again, select the component database, and now we'll find that other server. I'm going to use SA authentication, and I'm going to use SolarWinds Orion as the database. Okay, once Configuration Wizard finishes, you can see Launch Orion Web is checked. I'll go ahead and click on Finish and launch the web. So I'll log into the website. Okay, as you can see now, there's 121 nodes currently being monitored. 140 volumes are monitored. So we have data just to make sure. We'll go to Home, Summary. Then I'll go ahead and open up the Cisco area, expand the up nodes, and I'll just pick a node and open that. And as you can see, we're getting data right now. So what we've done is successfully moved the database off of the Orion server and moved it to the dedicated SQL server. That's how you migrate a database using the SQL Server management tools. Now we'll take a look at moving a database using the Orion database management tools. What we need to do first is stop all the services. So I'll go into Start, All Programs, and I'll go to SolarWinds Orion and Advanced Features. And what you want to do is find the Service Manager, click on that. Once it brings up the Service Manager, then just click on Shut Down Everything. Okay, once your services have stopped, make sure SQL service is still running. If it's stopped too, then go ahead and restart just that service. Now what we'll do is we'll go into All Programs, SolarWinds Orion, into Advanced Features, and we'll open up the Database Manager. Now I only have my local server here, and I do want to move the database over to the dedicated SQL server. So what I'll do is I'll click on Add SQL Server, building a list now of the servers, and you just click on the drop-down box to see that list. And here's my SQL server, and I'll say connect to that. Away we go. So you see now we have connected to the remote server. Now that I have both of my databases here, what I'll do is go to my local database, and there's the Orion database that I want to detach it. And then click on Detach Database. And you see that database is now detached. So once you've detached it, what that means is you can go in and grab the raw database files and copy those over to the new server. So here's the server, that's the MDF or the data file, and here's the LDF or the log file. So what I'll do is I'll grab both of those files and copy them. So now I'm on that SQL server, copy these right into the SQL directory. Once again, I'll go into the data, and you can see there is no Orion database, so I'll just paste those right in here. So now that these are pasted in, what I'll do is I'll move back over to the Orion server and I'll attach that database. Right-click on the server and click Attach Database. What database do I want to attach? And you see the database is shown up here. So now what we need to do is we need to go in and tell Orion how to get to that database. So this is similar to what we did on the last step when we did the SQL tools. So you'll go in and you'll run Configuration Wizard. Only run it on the database again. And now we'll find that other server. I'm going to use SA authentication. So what we've seen then is moving the database using the SQL Server management tools from an Orion server with a database over to a server which is a dedicated database. Then we also did the same thing except moving the raw database files using the SolarWinds tools. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you at solarwinds.com.